because like the style that you use is completely different from mine. How can I edit this to make it look like something I would do?
What's going on, everybody? It's Caleb, Black Sheep Photography. And you know what time it is? It's Edit Swap Time, episode 2. That's right. This is the show where I feature other photographers, where we go back and forth on each other's photos, same photos, 2 different photographers, where we see differences between the raw image and the edits. People found it interesting last time, which is why there's an episode 2. I'm following the trends of the film industry where everything's going to be a sequel and a trilogy, a quadrilogy, and so on and so forth. I will never stop, even when the comments are filled with pleas for help and the chat is filled with Fs. I will never stop. No matter how hard you try, no matter if the church forms the world's largest donation and the prayer groups band together, no matter if the SWAT is pounding on my door, I will never stop. If my own mother were to call me and plead and the police were trying to talk me down, I will never stop. You will keep getting these edit swaps until I die. You have 3 days. Today's featured guest, Stefan X. His page, right there. Let's dive into the episode and see the differences.
What's up, guys? My name is Stefan X. My real name is not Stefan X, like my last name is Williams, but we'll get into that later. I've been shooting for about 5 years, going on 6. Pretty much in college, I was very shy, and I'm just like, damn, I need to try something. I tried rapping, I tried DJing, I tried everything you could think of, and I just sucked at it. So eventually I picked up a camera, started doing people's grad photos, and then shooting sports, shooting editorial, beauty, and that's pretty much the vibe that I've been sticking with. I shoot women, majority of caramel to darker complexion. Every time we saw like a black woman, she was always sexualized. And it's like one thing I wanted to highlight was like, you don't have to be naked or nude to be beautiful. I don't like to do too much color grading. I don't like to add too much like, dodge and burn, anything like that. I always try to keep it looking very, very natural, real. I'll add some color in later on, but for the most part, I really try to do very minimal editing.
Being that this was mine, like what was your experience?
I will say I had a lot of fun editing this. Like your image, it reminds me of like a Renaissance type of vibe. And then my image is more so like fairy tale, fantasy-ish or whatever. And I actually had that spark of creativity or like inspiration from another photographer I follow on Instagram. And because this type of editing is not my style at all. Like, I'm like straight neck up, maybe half body, whatever it may be. But this was actually pretty dope.
It is out of like your norm, I would say. But the palette came out dope. You went with like the pastels, really bright. It definitely has more of like an angelic feel to me. I think the reason why mine probably gives off like what you said with more of the Renaissance is because the whites are really yellowed out in mine.
Yeah, they're very golden.
Yeah, so, and I think you see that a lot with oil painting just from like the aging. When they use the resin and stuff, it does actually yellow.
I'll say this is definitely your style too. The way you cut her out is like fire. It just looks clean, like she's actually on a cloud. While looking at mine, I feel like her hair is a little rough and I could have been a little bit better like with the coloring and adding in everything. But as far as my colors, I'm pretty satisfied with those because it looks like even though I didn't shoot it at the lighting I was able to match the lighting to the background.
Absolutely. I'm looking at the skin tones right now. That's more of like shifted towards magenta, which makes a lot of sense given that the clouds have that in there. Like your highlights are shifting towards that like light teal. Cyan. Yeah. Yo, can we just talk about cyan and teal? Are those the same thing? Like, is that just like street name and official name?
It is. Yeah, I think it is though. Honestly,
yeah, because I use them interchangeably, but then I'm like, wait, I should probably know if that's the same thing or not walking around. Like,
Especially with this image, it took me way out of my comfort zone because like I'm trying to like just experiment more with color grading and just like trying to match everything. Like if I had more images to play with, I probably would have like added a lot more like different cutouts of her just to make it a little bit more fantasy like.
that would have been interesting. Like, you know, like where they have cherubs or all these things like flying in the clouds.
Yeah, and it's like you'll have like a war over here, people at peace over here.
Yeah.
People touching hands in the middle.
Yeah,
Like
yeah. Just like reaching out. Like, yeah, that would have been crazy. The image, of course, started out landscape, and it was pretty wide and uncoordinated. We didn't talk about this. Almost cropped it identically. Like almost. That's wild, right? Like I feel like
that's what I was laughing at.
Really? That's crazy.
I mean, not even that. Like, I love the image. Like, the shoot was fire. But when I was editing the photo, I'm just like, I'm not filling in this background. I'm cropping it.
Dead ass, dude. That was my same thing. The second thing is you shot this freaking sharp, man. Like I zoomed all the way into her like skin and I'm like, oh, we got detail to work with. If I don't have to fill in that studio background, I'm not gonna.
Fun fact about my backdrops. Whenever I do shoot them for like 3-4 months, I use nothing but an 85.
Unless you got like a football field behind you, how are you backing up that far?
Hey, I mean, prayer.
So is this like black and white, but just with green in it in the shadows?
Yeah, so I was playing with tones. I actually was going for like a yellowish tone, but it didn't come out. And also, I've been trying to get more into black and white to tell more of like a story, like
right.
a mood. And I just felt like black and white just gave me a little bit more of a better mood. I do like how you added more makeup on her. Like you highlighted her makeup on her cheeks and her eyelids. That was pretty fire.
I've been like teaching myself to do that because a lot of times if you're not working with a team, you end up being the digital makeup artist. Starting out, I didn't have trained people around me. So I ended up just fixing a lot of shit in post. A lot of shit. Now, the good news is that taught me to Photoshop well, but it's not good in the sense of like how much time it takes. So ideally, I'd rather be in your camp.
Well, not necessarily. Although I may try to get it right in camera, some edits can take me between like 30 minutes to 3 hours on like dodging and burning. Like
actually, you know what? Tell the folks at home again one more time what that time frame was on a single photo. What was that time frame?
Between like 30 to 3 hours. Like it's
30 minutes to 3 hours, folks. Are you kidding me? And y'all talking about exposure.
Exactly. Like, you know what's crazy? We should do like, you should say, all right, so you want to do exposure? Cool. What can you bring to the table that will aid, both of us?
Right.
Because I know what I'm bringing. Like, what else is coming besides a face?
Because they don't know. They don't know that a photographer can spend up to 3 hours on a single photo edit. They think the guy pulls it into Photoshop and presses the edit button and you got it,
I wish.
I know, right?
I wish. I like the colors. I'm not going to lie. When you sent this one, I was like, what the hell? What am I supposed to do? Like her hand's missing. What am I supposed to do? What is his background? I was literally like, what's going on? So I was like, all right, I got to think outside the box.
It's just weird how many similarities we have because when I was looking at this image, I held my thumb up right above her head and to see, I was like, does that need to be in there? Because it is like, because you can't see the hands.
Yeah.
Like it's kind of like confusing and that's my shot. I mean, I did that, but to be fair though, people, like to be fair, my back was against another wall. Like this was like basically the entranceway to a building. She's on one wall of the entryway and I'm on the other wall. And my lens was as wide as it could go. So lay off. All right. I cut a hand off, whatever.
I like how we both like removed the glare from your flash that was in the window. I'm looking at yours and you did it 10 times better.
Listen, folks, this isn't paid commentary. I'm not doing it. By the way, to all you aspiring models out there, this was in January. So this was freezing. Kudos to Corinne for making it look like it's not cold at all. I don't know what I had my white balance set to, but the whole picture was like cyan and super dark, right? Like it was almost underexposed, like where you couldn't save it, especially her boots.
Her like bottom was like a whole nother color from her face. It's like you had the flash pointed at her face. Cause I was like, yo, how am I gonna match this?
I thought it was salvageable, so I wanted to see where you went, which I was super impressed when I saw this. I was like, oh, he's thinking composite.
Yeah. When I first saw it, I was like, once again, this isn't my style. So I was like, yeah, I need to make this me. And it's like, okay, what can I do? I like how you actually got the color like in the light streaks that are on her body. It's almost as if the light behind her was actually pink and it's coming out. So I like how you actually got the pink on her body. That was a really good attention to detail. And then also the Barbie sign. I like how it's not so clean. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like you cut it out perfectly. Like it's in here perfectly. You even have like this E has like a little shadow in it too, where it looks like it was slightly covered by her arm. And then another key thing that I like was the fact that it looks like it's worn graffiti.
Thanks, man. Yeah, I put it in there, and I knew I had to rough it up. Sometimes your destiny will just throw you a bone every now and again. So it actually works out because thematically, I was like, okay, what if Barbie grew up? The Barbie being all dilapidated and stuff like that, it would be like that because Barbie was when she was a kid. So, this is like 20 years old, maybe. So maybe it has been roughed up. She's like come back as like this superhero or something like that. And she looks like she's about to kick ass, I think.
Yeah. So I was like, I don't even know what I'm going to do with this. So, yeah.
The Raw sucked. I'll be honest with you. The Raw sucked. Like I must have brought down the lightness from her face skin like 3 times over before I thought it was right. Dude, I was so glad you included this. This is like what I want to do a lot of the time.
Like beauty?
Yeah, I love this stuff. And who's the makeup artist?
Madison.
Excellent job, man.
Yes.
When I started shooting, it was predominantly outside because I didn't have any lights, and it was predominantly cropped wide. So most of what I was shooting was just like all of head to toe stuff. Beauty is so far removed from that like the canvas, the landscape is the bone structure, is the face, the skin. I get to play it in both worlds. So I really like this kind of stuff. And this particular shot is just so good. Like I'm a sucker for closed eye model. I just think that looks good if it's done right.
It's like, I'm pretty sure you didn't even have to do much editing on the skin either.
Not
like,
at all. That's just the model?
So that's just the model. That's just her.
Crazy.
That's her face.
Crazy.
Like, that's her face. But looking at it, my idea from the red was to make it look as if she had like a red gel under her chin.
Okay.
You know what I mean?
I can see that.
So like that's why I had like the shadows basically red. And looking at yours, I love how like you added in more shadows into the image to actually bring more focus. Facus
is what we're introducing in 2020. Every day we're introducing a new word. All right.
And I'm actually looking at this too. Did you add more glitter to yours?
No. Really? All I
Really?
did was the luminance of blue and cyan was brought down. So if it had any hue of a bluish tint, it was darkened. And then on top of that, when I dodged and burned, I darkened that again. The makeup artist did such a good job of like this sweeping thing. So I just wanted to push that even further.
So I dig it.
Yeah. I want to get back to your color palette, like, because you still have the crunchiness, like the true shadows are still damn near black. It looks like one of those Warhol pop arts. You know, when he did like the Campbell Soup or Marilyn Monroe, but it's like very poppy. It's got that like punk attitude to it.
That's fire. I didn't think of that, but that would actually be a pretty dope edit.
Yeah.
That would be really dope.
Yeah, it's cool, man. Dude, I could literally zoom in as far as I want on this piece. It was so crispy.
Thanks. This was it's this one right here. Wow. For editing purposes.
Nice. I like that you with the equipment right there. I'm gonna start doing that now.
Yeah. I always have it near me. Like I got my hard drives up here. I got everything. Like I
All
was
right,
actually
this
looking
is
for
the only
cords.
this is the equipment that I use. That's it. That's how I get it. It's a secret.
Coconut oil.
Yeah. I've always wanted my photography to feel greater than this, like bigger than the city that I'm in.
Yeah, like I don't feel like my photography hits on the Atlanta vibe or the Atlanta look. I don't know. I just don't feel like my images fit in with like that stigma.
I agree.
It's just my interest. Like my inspirations usually come from like paintings or commercials, damn weather, you know? So it's like different things like that. Like that's where I get my inspiration from.
You know what's funny? Like I pulled my inspiration palette-wise from a picture I found of clouds. I'm like a big fan of clouds just in general. It just reminds me of like the crazy color combos that look good together. The key to this whole thing is just being like yourself and constantly practicing on being like as genuine to that as possible.
Honestly, yeah. And it's like, you know, just like during this time, just trying to hone in on like what you want your vibe to be known as. Like, I feel like every photographer has a signature. Like, even without a watermark, you're able to tell who that came from, where it came from.
That was Edit Swap number 2. What'd you think? Normally I'm goofy like how I am right now. Stefan kind of softened me up a little bit, but I think it was very informative and I think we learned a lot. I certainly did. I definitely had fun with his photos. He gave me a lot to work with. And I was super blown away by the fact that we both did composites. We both did similar crops. So it's always nice to see that, one, you're not crazy. And two, you know, people are out here with some serious talent. You know, I love finding my peers, especially when they best me at things. So much thanks to Stefan for coming on. Let me know down below what your favorite photo was or what your favorite difference was. I'd love to hear about that. Smash like, hit subscribe, do the double heart. Wherever this ends up, just do the like thing. Don't do the dislike thing. And let's just swat trying to take me out of here. Then you're just salty because you keep failing. Even so, you swat, smash like. We might get along. We might get along. They keep getting calls. There's another shooter, but it's a camera term. Idiots. Idiots. Anyways, I'll see you in the next video, guys.